couple days ago, on March 25th, New York Magazine released a cover story titled Andrew Huberman's Mechanisms of Control: The Private and Public Seductions of the World's Biggest Pop Neuroscientist. The internet seems to be split on whether or not this is a thin hit piece trying to slam dunk on him, or if he is a lying, manipulative, self-serving, narcissistic guru. We're going to separate fact from fiction, identify what's wrong with this article, as well as address some valid criticisms for Huberman. First of all, this article was written by a woman named Kerry Howley, and it's over 8,000 words long. Now, I read the article in its entirety, and I recommend you do the same so you can draw your own conclusions and opinions. However, I also understand that this is a long article. It took me a while, and sometimes it's even paywalled, which is always a good sign for traditional media. We want to be gatekeeping information from the public. If you're too lazy to read the article, and you want me to get to the point, I'll tell you this. The entire premise of this nothing burger is that Andrew Huberman is a womanizer, and he was juggling 6 women at the same time. That's it. That is the story. That is what news is in 2024. Jacked millionaire celebrity genius gets a lot of women. Andrew Huberman has been outed for having relationships with 5 different women at the same time. He's a 48-year-old man with the energy to date 5 different women. If that's not a ringing endorsement of his methods, I don't know what is. For those of you who have never heard the name Andrew Huberman before, I would question how you're actually watching me right now, considering the fact that you probably don't have access to the internet, because he's been everywhere for the past couple years. He's a highly decorated neuroscientist, although that's debated amongst other neuroscientists, who has a podcast, a massive following, and teaches people how to optimize their lives. A large chunk of his social media brand is centered around protocols, which are essentially habits or things that you do to set you up for the day and live a healthy lifestyle, like get sunlight after you wake up, drink water with electrolytes, wait an hour before you wake up to have coffee. Whether or not you like Andrew Huberman, there are millions of people who follow his protocols to a T and take what this man says as gospel. This type of idolization and male worship is not unique to Huberman, but it does play an important role in this story, given that this piece is having the opposite effect of what the author intended. In the first couple paragraphs, we learn a bit of backstory about Huberman, and that he comes from a dysfunctional family and learned to navigate life through his own processes, as well as finding meaning through science and exercise. It's his entire brand and MO that we see today. Now, he is a 48-year-old associate professor at Stanford University School of Medicine, specializing in neurology and ophthalmology. His rise to fame came from his lectures, podcasts, and multiple appearances because people wanted to hear a smart guy tell them what they're doing wrong and how to fix it. That's it. The author then gets into the fact that Huberman presents himself as self-improvement incarnate. He's constantly trying to min-max his life and operate at a more efficient level. One glaring problem with this article is that it treats its consumers, its readers and viewers, as babies without any sense of agency, as if we are incapable of making our own choices and listening to what certain people have to say. It's a very static, rigid, and honestly incorrect way to think about content consumers, as if we're just sitting here getting brainwashed by internet personalities. The author then tries to establish a straw man argument, basically saying that Andrew Huberman is not to be trusted because he takes on certain sponsorships on his channel, which has nothing to do with the fact that he's just dating multiple women and lying about it. Like, that's not news. I'm sorry. The guy could be a douchebag, but it's his personal life. Second of all, how many women do the same thing to men? It's just so not newsworthy. It's sad. I would say about 70% of this story, which is essentially just a laundry list of grievances from ex-lovers of Andrew Huberman, comes from one account, aka Sarah, which is a pseudonym for Essentially, what happens is, Sarah finds out that Andrew Huberman is being unfaithful. He's cheating on her. We also find out that Andrew Huberman is a total flake. Apparently, he can't keep meetings to save his life. He's canceling on people. His associates, his friends, they all know this about Andrew. Because, I don't know, maybe he's a high-performing, multi-millionaire neuroscientist with multiple business ventures. Sure, this is not upstanding citizen behavior. He's not given a masterclass on chivalry. Yeah, he's probably got some inner demons, and he probably treats women subpar and shittily, but guess what? 99.99% of people are coming to Andrew Huberman to find out how many hours of sleep they need at night, not how to have a wife and keep women happy in their life, considering the fact that he's single with no kids. The man has zero, and I mean zero, commitment. So the author also talks about an account with Scott Carney, who is an associate of his, and one time they said that they were going to go camping together, and Andrew Huberman just left him at his house for a couple of hours while he did some activities, and it was a weird instance. The dude is just all over the place. That is apparently like fucking breaking news in 2024. I don't think anyone on this planet is surprised that Andrew Huberman, of all people, is flaky and doesn't follow through on personal endeavors. Is that a shit personality trait? Yeah, but guess what? Me and you are not friends with Andrew Huberman. He's not somebody I would probably be friends with. It's dystopian and slimy to put people under the microscope and comb through their entire life. We don't need to know this information. In fact, he should have a right to privacy, which is why today's video is sponsored by Aura. Aura has almost every internet safety tool you'll ever need bundled inside one app. These days, you can find anything on the internet, including your full legal name, your address, your phone number, and even your relatives. And I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't sit right with me. This information is accessible because of data brokers who sell your personal information to robocallers, telemarketers, spammers, and anyone nefarious that wants to learn more about you. Aura will identify data brokers exposing your sensitive information and even submit opt-out requests on your behalf. And this even includes junk mail and telemarketing lists. Aura's app also features a VPN, password manager, real-time credit and identity theft monitoring, internal parental controls, and protects your devices from malware. You can go to aura.com/Philion, click on the link down below, or scan the QR code to start your free trial today. And thank you to Aura for sponsoring this video. Now, I will say, there are some points in this article that raise some eyebrows, where Andrew Huberman explodes on women, allegedly. But without Andrew's account, how are we supposed to know if that's true? He apparently declined to be interviewed for this story, but he did have a spokesperson answer a few burning questions, mainly around the semantics with Sarah. I am not inclined to believe Sarah over Andrew, and vice versa. I don't know what went on in his personal life, and neither do you, and neither does this fucking author. All we have are accounts of his ex-girlfriends who formed a group chat on Facebook to shit on his life. For example, it's asserted that Huberman would hyper-focus on the fact that Sarah had kids from a previous marriage, and that got in the way of their current relationship status. And he, through his spokesperson, said, "That's not true." The women compared time-stamped screenshots of texts and assembled therein an extraordinary record of deception. There was a day in Texas when, after Sarah left his hotel, Andrew slept with Mary and texted Eve. They found days in which he would text nearly identical pictures of himself to two of them at the same time. I'm sorry we were not familiar with Andrew Huberman's game. They realized that the day before he had moved in with Sarah in Berkeley, he had slept with Mary, and he had also been with her in December of 2023, before Sarah caught him on the couch with a sixth woman. They realized that on March 21st, 2021, a day of admittedly impressive logistic jujitsu, while Sarah was in Berkeley, Andrew had flown Mary from Texas to LA to stay with him in Topanga. While Mary was there, visiting from thousands of miles away, he left her with Costello, his dog. He drove to a coffee shop where he met Eve. They had a serious talk about their relationship. They thought they were in a good place, and he wanted to make it work. The scheduling alone, Alex tells me, I can barely schedule 3 Zooms in a day. 3 of the women on the group text met up in New York in February, and the group has only grown closer. On any given day, one of the 5 can go into an appointment and come back to hundreds of texts. Someone shared a Reddit thread in which a commenter claimed Huberman had a, quote, stable full of hoes. And another responded, quote, I hope he thinks of us more like Care Bears. At which point they assigned themselves the Care Bear names. I couldn't stop laughing at the language Huberman uses to riz these girls up. For example, they regularly use Andrew's usual response to explicit photos. To comment on pictures of one another's pets. They are holding space for other women who might join. The girls have never been better, apparently. All 6 of them have seen Andrew Huberman's fucking meat, okay? Like, to me, the cringiest part about this is how Andrew Huberman responds to women. Bro gets caught cheating and he says, "I hear you are saying you are angry and are hurt. I will hear you as much as long as needed for us." I'm sorry, but if you are a described intelligent, fully grown, consenting adult woman and you still stick around after Andrew Huberman apologizes for cheating by saying, "I will hear you as much as long as needed for us," and you think that's an appropriate response and you still stick around, you gotta be head empty, my friend. Just to highlight how goofy this man is, when he went swimming with one of the members of his harem, he complimented her form saying, quote, "You're definitely on the faster side of the distribution." Like, who speaks like this?
You can't have long-term affairs with 6 different partners.
Yeah, unless he's juggling multiple phone accounts or something.
Right. And some men try to do that, but I think could be very taxing.
The women continued to compare notes. He had his little ways of checking in. Quote, "Good morning, beautiful." There was a particular way he would respond to a sexy picture. Hi there. Let the man live, okay? Let the man clap some fucking cheeks, okay? I said it. Lessons from the Andrew Huberman expose. Many men who operate at his level have negative personality traits. Take what you can from a person like this and leave the rest. Don't put anyone on a pedestal. Yeah, those are all golden. And we got a response on that tweet that says, he does what every 20-something girl living in a big city does, but because he's a man, he bad. There probably is a double standard here. Yeah, I don't know who needs to hear this, but women and men both do this all the time. All this man had to do was just say, "I'm polyamorous." Game over. There's no story. They're even making new words for this shit all the time. Solo poly? I mean, what the fuck is that? The craziest part of this Andrew Huberman story is that he could find 7 women that he could say stuff like this to and not get laughed out of the room. Caught having an affair, Andrew was apologetic. Quote, "The landscape has been incredibly hard. I let the stress get to me. I defaulted to self-safety. I've also sat with the hardest of feelings." I hear your insights, and honestly, I appreciate them. Andrew Huberman's ability to keep 5 women happy and sexually satisfied simultaneously without their awareness of one another at the age of 48 is the ultimate testament to the effectiveness of a bio-optimized lifestyle that you dorks should ever need. Yeah, we're dealing with Twitter here, so... In response to that absolutely flaccid piece of journalism, I read an opposing opinion. I know, shocker, debunking the article and giving their thoughts, titled "Who's Afraid of Andrew Huberman" by Susie Weiss, and I recommend you also read it. So when I saw that New York Magazine had devoted over 8,000 words to a guy known for advertising listeners how to optimally sleep, eat, exercise, and mate, I expected that they had the goods. I read the line, quote, "The problem with a man always working on himself is that he may also be working on you," and prepared myself for an expose where Huberman gathers his harem together and brands them Nixium style, or that he drinks the blood of young women after his daily cold plunge. A weird kink, even a kink, anything. But there's just nothing, or just about nothing, that is, assuming you are a human being living in the real world who would be neither surprised nor scandalized to learn that jacked, attractive, smart, successful men tend to date multiple women at the same time and then lie about it. It's gross. He's the kind of guy I would urge my friends to avoid, though if I'm honest, that sheer feat of scheduling also displays the sort of take control of your life optimization he's famous for. From the piece, quote, "There's so much pain," says Sarah, who dated him on and off for 5 years. "Feeling we had made mistakes. We hadn't been enough. We hadn't been communicating. By making these other women into the other, I hadn't really given any space for their hurt, and let it sink in with me that it was so similar to my own hurt." Here's a rule of thumb. If you're at the point in a breakup where you're talking about making and giving space for hurt, or even using hurt as a noun, and New York Magazine calls you place your phone directly in the toilet. You didn't think that Huberman, a man who studies and constantly discusses apex physiological performance, would have ego and control issues? You're shocked that a media phenom is flaky and overbooked? Be for real. We're meant to believe these women didn't have the agency to leave their cheating boyfriend who didn't prioritize them. Thank God the women of the Huber harem found each other and came to their senses. I wish them and their group chat well. Their only mistake was going to the press. Well, and thinking Andrew Huberman was monogamous.